Friday, but my God, it is actually Friday. It is Friday, the 22nd of November, 2024. Congratulations on making it this far. And today is it the anniversary of John F. Kennedy getting shot? I don't know. It's around this time, isn't it? In the first episode of Doctor Who, because that was the same day. Weirdly enough, Anyway, so I thought it might be appropriate to talk a little bit about whether Trump's actually going to make it for another 4 years, because he is 78 years old, and he doesn't really take care of himself, and he's very overweight, and there's a good chance. There's a good chance, isn't there? There is a good chance. Like, I know Mugabe lived till he was like 93 or 94 or something, and Murdoch is still alive, so obviously there is some longevity in being evil, but. Yesterday there was a bit of a kerfuffle. There was a kerfuffle online when people were talking. There were 2 ambulances outside Mar-a-Lago. There were 2 ambulances, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is it! It's happening! It's really happening!" And I was like, "No, it's not. Something else. Something else." And I'm scratching here because I just realised that I haven't actually lit a mosquito coil. So I'll do that while I'm reading your messages. Vance, look forward to. I was going to come to that. Being realistic, he'll probably make it. Hey, says one angry pagan. Well, let's say he doesn't. So what happens then? Vance takes over. And that's terrible because JD Vance is a idiot. He's a psychopath. He's a tech bro idiot. And we don't like him. However, he's not Trump. And what I'll say to this, this whole but what replaces Trump could be worse than Trump. He won't be. He doesn't have Trump's cult. His cult. He doesn't have his cult. And so he'll try to do things that Trump could get away with, but Vance won't get away with it. You see? That's the big difference. And he'll become increasingly unpopular as he does really stupid stuff. Like, Trump can do really stupid stuff and kill Americans. He can kill as many Americans as he likes, and the Americans who are in his cult, sorry about the clicking noise, it's me trying to light this thing. The Americans in his cult will still literally forgive him anything. This isn't good, is it? It's not lighting. I can't sit here for half an hour and just get eaten alive by midges. This is an awful moment for me. I have to buy a new lighter thing. Oh, there's loads of fluid in it. I can see it's got a little window. Oh, maybe I have to change the size of the flame. Ah, there you go. That's it. No, not out of gas. Not out of gas. We have a little window. We can see. So yeah, JD Vance. So what I'll say to that is, who took over from Mugabe? Like, who took over from Pol Pot? Who took over from Napoleon? Who took over from Stalin? I mean, you probably know. It was Khrushchev, was it? But like, they were never on the same level. I know Dönitz took over from Hitler for like 5 minutes just to sign the surrender documents, but yeah, generally speaking, like, you get these tyrants, you get these dictators, Pinochet, and then they leave the stage, Slobodan Milosevic, and the person who replaces them is invariably, I don't know, some bureaucrat, someone who's not like particularly popular. Thatcher was replaced by John Major, and yeah, the kind of stuff that Thatcher could get away with, Major couldn't get away with it. The kind of stuff that, these sort of firebrand leaders who have these mad personality cults behind them get it. They get away with everything. I mean, look at Boris Johnson. He didn't leave his position as prime minister. He didn't resign because of Partygate, which he damn well should have done. He resigned because of the Chris Pincher scandal. And it was one scandal too many, but there were so many scandals. And if Starmer had done one of those things, he would be out on his ear. He would be absolutely out on his ear. I mean, he couldn't even have a beer. They were trying to equate Starmer having a beer with Johnson having like 19 parties. And so I don't think JD Vance will get away with it. I don't think he'll get away with the horrible things that Trump wants to do. So last time he was in office, Trump said he was going to build a wall. He didn't. He's shut up about that now, hasn't he? He doesn't mention the wall anymore. Where was the wall? Where's the wall, Donald? Donald, you said you were going to build a wall, mate. Where's the wall? And the other thing, and then this time it's all about deporting immigrants, like anyone from some other country, which is like 99% of the population of America are immigrants. You know, they've all got ancestry from somewhere else, except for the Native Americans who, you know, the government has, and the people of America, the immigrants of America have never treated particularly well. What do you make of Gates's withdrawal? That's from Andrew Dixon. I think it's interesting. I need to look into this because I need to know if he's lost his seat. Has he lost his seat now in the House of Representatives because he stood down, didn't he? Or does he say, "Oh no, that was just for that session, and I'm going to retake it in January and become a"? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is like, I don't think that he would have been that bothered about most of the stuff that came out in the bipartisan report on Matt Gaetz. I don't think he would have been he wouldn't have cared, and Trump wouldn't have cared, and then Trump voters, more importantly, I guess, wouldn't have cared either. I mean, if you vote for Trump, then you're voting for rape. That's it. You're voting for a rape. You know he's a rapist, and you're voting for him anyway. So I wouldn't really trust anyone who voted for Trump. I certainly wouldn't leave my children alone with anyone who voted for Trump. Absolutely wouldn't do that. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be alone with them either, just in case. You know, they obviously think that rape is acceptable, which is a horrible thought. Best news all week, but it's saying Wash is his next pick, who could just be as bad and underqualified. Talking about Matt Gaetz, yeah. Again, I mean, I don't think whoever replaces him is going to be quite as bad as him because he is he's a paedophile and the guy is a criminal. The guy is if that was you or me, we would have been in jail 10 years ago. You know, we would have been in jail so quick it would have made your head spin. But because he's rich and well connected and probably has a wealthy family, they get away with it. They get away with literal murder. It's this decadence, the decadence of the neo-aristocrats who can, the living, the life of Riley, this life of millionaires and billionaires, and they're just shitting on the rest of us. And it's getting to the fall of Rome sort of stages of like just absolute decadence and depravity on the Republican side, who are just they're just horrible. They're just horrible, horrible people who think they can get away with anything. Think they can get away with abusing anyone they want to abuse in any way they want to abuse them. It's disgusting. But yeah, whoever comes after, whoever does get nominated for Attorney General, I'm sure they'll be terrible, but they won't be as terrible as Matt Gaetz. In the same way that if Trump carks it, JD Vance will take over, and I'm sure he will be terrible. I'm sure he's a very bad man. I'm sure that he's an absolute gobshite. However, I don't think he'll ever be very popular. People don't like him. People don't warm to him. He's a bit weird. He doesn't know how to order a donut. He can't talk to people. Trump can stand in front of an audience for 3 hours like Ken Dodd, just rabbiting on in this weird stream of consciousness shit. I mean, who does that? Whereas Matt Gaetz, I mean, sorry, JD Vance, he can't do that. He's going to be shit at that. And so he's going to be really, really, really unpopular. And the more unpopular policies that Trump wants to push through, I don't think he'll be able to do it. I think there's going to be too much backlash, far too much backlash. Starmer having a beer. Poor Richard Holden, he tried. Yeah. Kim Il-sung's successor was able to reign all right, exceptions possible. It obviously won't happen, but it'd be so funny if Trump and Musk got deported in their sleep. Yeah, that would be quite funny. He's resigned from the House. He's gone. Oh, that's brilliant. So he can't retake his position in January. That's good. Trump named Pam Bondi as his new AG pick. I don't really know who that is. Adolf has his own version of SA. I'm sure he did as well. And Alistair, I'm saying hi Graham, and hi Badgers. Hello Badgers. Afternoon all, says Roxy Rules. Good morning, Graham. Hope everyone is well. Graham, I hope you brought something warm to wear when you return to Durham. No, actually, I've got my jacket. I've got my leather jacket, and I've got a hoodie. I got one hoodie. I'll be fine. I've just got to get out of the airport into a car, haven't I? And then what have I got to do? Just get home. Although our house is freezing. We live in an old house, and it's not warm. Put it that way. I don't know if any of you watched when I used to broadcast during lockdown, but I nearly always had a beanie hat on. Not this hat, because it was too cold. It was too cold to wear this hat. Tell Kat to get the shopping in. No one's going anywhere tomorrow in Durham. Yeah, apparently there's going to be a big snowstorm. apparently hitting, which doesn't sound great. But yeah, and it does sound like really alien at the moment because obviously you can see like I'm really hot here on Ginger Island, somewhere in the Caribbean, actually in Bocas del Toro. But yeah, I'm it's winter in it. It's winter. I'm kind of a bit gutted I missed the snow with the kids. Could have had the snowball fight. That would have been fun. And Joanna says UK weather is currently perfect, nice and cold. Well, there you go. And my mum's joined the chat. Hi, mum. Good morning, ma'am. Hello, 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 hello. So yeah, it is Friday today, and we've got. I mean, it's 2 months until the inauguration. It's 2 months until the inauguration. We've got like another 2 months before it even gets started. Jesus Christ, this is gonna be difficult. This is gonna be really, really hard. Like waking up every day and just being like, oh God, what now? And then having to make a video about it and talk to people and go, well, what's your take on this? And yeah, I think many people's lives would be so much better, so much more content if the orange one happened to join the choir invisible, shuffle off this mortal coil, push up some daisies, cark it. And it could happen. It could happen. He doesn't seem like a very well man. But then people said this about Putin, didn't they? At the beginning of the Ukraine conflict, the invasion, the full-on invasion of Ukraine. People are like, oh yeah, Putin, he's ill. He's got cancer. He's ill. He's going down. And I'm like sitting there going, don't know if he is, but we can hope. Is it the copium? Is it the copium? But I think short of Trump actually, becoming bereft of life, um, I, uh, I can't see America getting itself out of the hole that it's dug itself. I mean, this is a hole. I mean, this is a hole as deep as the Marianas Trench. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much. Yay! £10 for the Soil Fund. Some island news. Some island tunes. Sorry, living on an island and margarita time. Status quo. Is it margarita time, Jimmy Buffett? In Too Deep, some 41. Modern Girl, Meatloaf. It's a Kind of Magic, and You're My Best Friend, Queen. Blessed be Badgers. 2 months is long enough for all Trump's horrific picks to fall by the wayside. Musk is already getting on his nerves, says Snapper. Well, that's going to be interesting because this is the thing: is anyone who's watched American Psycho will know psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists like Musk and Trump, they have to be the big dog and they are not subservient to anyone. And if they feel like some other dog is getting too big for their boots, they will snap at that dog. And in this case, I can see that, the first buddy, as he's being referred to, Alonia Musk, yeah, you can see visible signs of irritation on Trump's face when Musk is jumping around being a dickhead, which he is. But it seems most Americans want this hole. Yes, Jennifer, you're right. And if this had been a coup, if this had been, if they had voted for Kamala Harris and yet Trump stole the election somehow, like George W. Bush did in 2000, then yeah, maybe I could have a little bit of sympathy. But half the American people voted for this. Half the people who voted for this. 52%. And my heart breaks for the 48%. It really, really does. But just like with Brexit, if you're going to be that stupid, there's a part of me that thinks, oh, well, sod it then, But unfortunately, in terms of Brexit, it's my family, it's my friends, it's my life, it's my career that have been affected by Brexit. I can't do what I used to do. I can't travel around Europe now making music videos. If I could sing, making travel videos. I can't do that anymore because of Brexit. I need not a travel permit. I might need one of them soon, but no, I need a work permit now. So I could just go over and do, a quick session, filming some stuff for the Slovakian tourist board. I can't do that anymore. That's been taken away from me by the Brexiteers. They've taken away my career that I had planned for myself. And that's really, really upsetting. That is something that like I never will forgive them for, especially the ones who know me, especially the ones who family even who voted for this. It's like, how dare you? Especially if they're retired and going on a cruise every fucking 3 months. It's a bit like, okay, so you've had a nice life, yeah, and you voted to ruin mine. Thanks, thanks a lot for that. Right. So yeah, it's difficult for me with that one. Um, but with Trump, I mean, at least with Brexit, you could argue, well, people were lied to. They had 30 years of bullshit fed to them by the Daily Mail and the Daily Express and the scum newspaper and the Tory graph and the Murdoch-owned Times newspaper, you know, printing out this absolute bullshit about the EU, stuff that wasn't true. And yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think like, you know, there is an argument that a lot of people were duped, right? But then in 2019, they voted for Boris Johnson for the hardest possible Brexit, which blows a hole in Femi's argument that we never voted to leave the single market. We actually did, because that's what was said in the 2019 manifesto by the Tories. They said they were going to do that, and they did it. Like that's the mandate. That's where it comes from. It didn't necessarily come from the referendum, which, as we know, was advisory. But yeah, eyes open, voted for Boris Johnson, knowing what Boris Johnson was like, knowing that Boris Johnson was a philanderer, an adulterer, a man whose mistress had at least 2 of his abortions, a man who lied to, at that point, to the Queen. Had already lied to everyone he's ever worked for, every editor. He lied to every MP. He lied to every party leader. He was, in fact, sacked for lying back in like 2001 in the Shadow Cabinet. People knew who he was and they voted for him anyway. And I feel the same way about Trump. Like, people absolutely, I mean, it's even more on another level. Like, not only do they know what he's like, they know what he's like as a president and just how deranged and dysfunctional and shit his administration was. And I don't know if the Democrats made enough of this. Like, I would have been there, like, in the debate going, where's your fucking wall, Donny, you had 4 years. Where's your wall? You said you were going to, that was your big signature thing. You were going to build a wall and you were going to get Mexico to pay for it. Where is it? And the fact that they didn't do that is you know, nauseating. But yeah, narcissists together aren't so much as big dogs as rats in a sack. Yeah, I believe it was wishful thinking. Also, you forget the orange. Sorry, I just lost the message. The orange one is surrounded by the best medical care. That's true, but so was it Queen Anne? I think it was Queen Anne. Was it Queen Anne who had like 17 children? Or she got pregnant 17 times and she never carried any of them. None of them made it to their 5th birthday. So yeah, although she did have, I guess, the medical expertise of the 1700s, which I think that Robert F. Kennedy wants to go back to. I mean, there's going to be an anti-vax tax, and the anti-vax tax is going to be this. It's going to be the lives of American children. It's going to be gravestones with children's names on it, with the date of birth and the date of death being very, very close to each other. Something that if you go to a cemetery from the 40s, the 50s, even like halfway through the 60s, you'll see a lot of children's graves. You don't see them so much these days. If a child dies of a disease or of an illness, it's usually front page news in the UK because it is very, very rare that happens. Most kids survive. The vast majority of kids survive at least to their 18th birthday. And that alone is because of advances in medical science, but more than anything else, it's because of vaccines. So that anti-vax tax is going to be particularly horrific when those children start dying of easily preventable diseases, because Robert F. Kennedy is an egotist, as are all anti-vax people. They think they know more than the accumulated knowledge of every doctor in the world. Like they think they know that they think they have more compassion than the doctors who go out to villages in Africa and Asia taking vaccines out there so the kids don't get polio. They think they have more compassion, more intelligence. They're so steeped in arrogance and just beyond any kind of like realms of normality when it comes to how things work. They just don't know. They don't know how vaccines work because they're not intelligent enough to get their head around it. And so their natural response is, I don't want this. I don't want this thing that I don't understand how it works. It's people who don't, I guess they don't have a microwave in their house because they don't know how that works either. I guess they don't have a smartphone because they don't know how that works. And I assume that just scares them. But there you go. The word you're looking for is interregnum. The interregnum period, is that between kings? Steve Bannon ran off with the money for the wall. He's about to get a pardon, lol. Yeah, didn't build a wall, and he's going to give him a pardon. But yeah, I mean, I think that the going back over what should have been said during the campaign period and what should have been done. We've already discussed this, like Biden should have stepped down ages ago. But I do think it would have been a really good strategy to every time there was a question to be posed to Trump, it was literally, where's your fucking wall? Like, where's the wall, Trump? Oi, Donny, where's your wall? Show us your wall, mate. Where's the wall? You said you were going to build one, you didn't. So you're a liar. You're a liar. You lied to the American people. You promised them a wall. You promised them a beautiful wall, the most beautiful wall that anyone's ever seen. Yeah. A wall 15 foot high that no one will ever be able to get over. Couldn't they just use a 16-foot ladder? Yeah. In one of his speeches, one of his rambling speeches, he actually admitted that people could just have a slightly higher ladder. But the way they built the wall, because they had to be able to see through it to see what was happening on the other side, it's like bars. It's like very close together bars, and people just grab hold of the bars and just scoot up and then scoot down the other side. It is like absolutely freaking useless for stopping people getting in. He didn't get a majority. Latest final votes given 49.9%. Oh, that's really interesting, isn't it? I don't know how aspirins work, but when I have a headache, well, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the anti-vax crowd are supremely arrogant, but also stupid. It's Dunning-Kruger, but in a very, very dangerous way. Now, polio in the wild has been wiped out finally. However, there are various cases of polio that still exist. And polio should have been wiped out 20 years ago. But what happened was you'd get people in Nigeria, for instance, saying, oh, these vaccines, they're putting HIV in the vaccines, they're giving your babies HIV. Obviously, that freaks people out. And obviously, if you don't have a very good education, you're kind of like, what? I don't want to give my baby AIDS. Like, why would I do that? And so the polio vaccination rates dropped off a cliff. As a result, polio made its way back into the population. And polio not only is a deadly disease for the children who survive polio, they are affected by it for the rest of their lives, many of them, not being able to walk and having to use calipers or having to use a wheelchair for the rest of their lives. And then you've got measles, again, incredibly deadly for the kids who don't die. And I know personally, right? This is not, I'm just making sort of, theoretical stuff. 2 people who got measles as kids. One of them is my partner, who went deaf as a result of having measles at the age of 4. Profoundly deaf. And that affects everything. Like, she can't answer the phone. She can't listen to the radio. She can't, we can't go to stand-up comedy. How do you go to a stand-up comedy night? Like, you can't, because they've got even if you can lip read, they've got the mic in front of their mouth. Stand-up comedy is out. If we go out for a drink with my mates in the pub's really noisy. First of all, it's really difficult to suss out what people are saying if you can't hear absolutely anything. That, she's got hearing aids, you can hear a little tiny bit, certain frequencies. But she's had a drink, it gets even harder to lip read because it's really, really hard to lip read. Like it is, you've got to try and work out what people are saying. It's like someone's constantly talking in another language, uh, and you've got to, and you're not fluent in, and you've kind of got to, at the speed that they are talking, you've got to try and process what they are saying and work it out. And then someone will come in and they'll be speaking another language that you don't really understand, and you've got to try and work out, kind of guess, a bit of guesswork there, what they're saying. So we go out, and by the time it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the pub, Catherine's alone. She can't hear anything that people are saying. Really, she can't understand anything people are saying. She's alone in a room full of people because she's deaf. And then there's the cinema thing, which I go on about all the freaking time because hardly any films have subtitles on. And it's just like, for God's sake, why would you push that on someone? Catherine couldn't be vaccinated as a child because there was a worry about an allergy to the vaccine. And so she relied on her parents, and she relied on herd immunity, on the fact that all the kids would get immunized so that measles virus wouldn't spread. Another friend of mine who was in the year above me, 2 years above me in school, he actually went around the same age, of 4 or 5. He actually went into a coma. He actually went under a couple of times, and had to be like absolutely bolstered with steroids to keep him alive. And I mean, he's fine. He is fine. But that must be so terrifying for his parents to go through, going to all day hospital, and their little boy, in intensive care. Something that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't got measles. How'd you stop him getting measles? Well, you quite simply just vaccinate him, get vaxxed. Katrina, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. That's very kind of you. Because of the way the Electoral College works, Kamala Harris would have only needed an extra 120,000 votes spread across 3 swing states, the largest amount of seats to have actually won. Oh, God. That's so frustrating. Putin ramping up the rhetoric again, says the UK is now an active participant in the war. How serious do we take this risk of falling for the boy who cried wolf? Okay, yeah, well, let's talk about this. Seriously, Russia's a paper tiger. Russia is a paper tiger, and I've said this before on the show. I don't believe they've got any working nuclear missiles. Hey, if I'm wrong, it's not going to matter, is it? Because we'll all be dead. But they haven't done any nuclear tests for years, for decades. And nuclear weapons require constant maintenance to keep them working. And we've seen what the maintenance looks like with the Russian tanks and the Russian armored vehicles, with these tires that are just falling apart. Russia doesn't have the kit. It does have an inexhaustible supply of young men to push into the meat grinder. Over 500,000 so far died, we reckon, in Ukraine. It might be even more than that, because the Russian higher ups just do not care. They just do not care about the lives of Russians or the mercenary soldiers working for the Russians, or the North Koreans. I guess they're mercenaries as well, to some extent, fighting North Korean soldiers fighting for Russia in Ukraine. I couldn't think of anything more mad, but there you go. Studied some. I'm allergic to penicillin, says Martin. That's yeah. But I mean, this is the way that. Sorry, just go back to the measles thing. This is the way that the right like to get into people's heads. They do the same with trans people. They create a problem that isn't there. They go, what's the problem? Oh, it's vaccines. They might be bad for you. And then they start using words like natural. And I don't like the word natural, because hardly anything humans do is natural. I'm drinking a cup of tea. Is that natural? Is that natural to take some clay out the ground, make yourself a cup, right? Then get some leaves from literally the other side of the planet, right? And then dry them out and crush them up, dry them out, and then put them in a bag. And then you pour hot water over that, and let it seep for a minute, and then you pour in liquid that you have got out of the udders of a cow. Yeah, I'm what? It's bonkers. Like flying is not natural. I'm going to say this now, right? Flying, I'm sorry to break it to you, unless you're a bird, flying is not natural, right? Or a bat. Flying is not natural. We do that. We have the internet is not natural. So little of what we do in the world is natural. You look at what's natural in the natural world. You look at the a wild cabbage. It's about this big. And from that, we've made cabbages, we've made Brussels sprouts, I don't know why. We've made all these different cultivars. Bananas are all clones of each other. The banana that you eat in the UK is the same. It's the same banana that someone eats in Australia and the same banana that someone eats here in Panama. It's called the Cavendish, and it's a genetically identical banana everywhere. That's not natural. There should be variation to protect against blights like the Panama blight. And then you've got, just our relationships with each other, the fact we wear clothes, the fact we do all the stuff that humans do. But what the other side now is that there is this call of nature that people have. They want things to be natural. It's a big selling point for your advertising. If you're an advertising executive, if you could throw the word natural into your sales pitch, it just sounds so much better. It's natural, don't you know? And someone once trying to sell me Dead Sea salts or some Dead Sea mud or something. They said, it's got no chemicals in it. It's purely natural. And I was like, what? Not even salt? Sodium chloride? That's not in there? No? Okay. And so, yeah, is this sodium chloride? Probably got that wrong. But yeah, so this idea of things being natural, the right use it all the time, and they use it in a way that is disgusting, but it gets people who would otherwise be on the left hooked, right? I'll give you some examples. Being gay, right? You hear a lot of people saying it's not natural. It is. It happens all over the animal kingdom, and you can't help who you fancy. It's perfectly natural, but they'll say it's not. They'll say, oh, no, it's not natural. You'll hear this in the Catholic Church. It's just not natural. Sorry, it's natural for a grown man to never have sex and live in a big palace on top of a hill with wearing clothes of gold and a big hat. All right, Pope, shut up. And then you've got the other things. Vaccinations, just not natural. You need to let nature take its course. No, you don't. And here's the thing, right? We all want to live in harmony with nature, right? To a certain extent. But nature wants you dead. Nature, right, is ruthless. It is red in tooth and claw. It wants you dead as soon as possible, right? Because it wants to make sure that only the strongest, the best, the smartest, the luckiest survive to pass on their genes to the next generation, because that's the way evolution works. And or sexiest, I guess, if it's sexual selection. And yeah, nature has very many ways of killing you. And one of the big ones is germs. And we are going to be fighting a constant, war against germs forever, infections, stuff like COVID, stuff like HIV. And there are going to be a lot of good people who are working every day tirelessly to protect us against them. And to throw all that research back in their face. I mean, the one about the COVID vaccination drives me mad. It's like, it wasn't tested. It wasn't tested. I'm like, well, first of all, it was, because it's a SARS vaccine. They've been working on that for years, and COVID is a SARS variant. But also, it wasn't tested. I think the what was it? The billion people who have had the COVID vaccination, I think it's pretty well tested. I think did a billion people die? Did I miss that? Did a million people just cark it suddenly? I didn't see that. No. So yeah, but the way the right do this with the whole natural, they do it with trans people as well. They say that's not natural, when it is. I mean, it's like being left-handed. How do you know you're left-handed? Do you have a little mark on your hand? No, you just know. You just know that you're left-handed because it feels wrong in the other hand. How do you know you're gay? Well, I don't fancy girls, I fancy boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, you generally find that out quite early on in your life. And it's not something that these. I hate the fact that these vultures on the right, the billionaires who just want to control people, who just like laugh about, go on, dance, little monkey, dance. Go on, dance for me, dance. I'm rich. Go on, and throw some bonbons at us, so we all we all dance like idiots. It really annoys me the way they use language that they know will appeal. They do it on purpose. They know will appeal to people who would otherwise be, on our side on these issues, and they get under the skin and they go, yeah, but, and they use this sort of language to justify their bigotry, and it happens all the time. It's why I do get a bit annoyed when people go, it's natural. I'm like, oh, piss off. Nothing's natural. Nothing we do is natural anyway. It's ridiculous. I wear glasses, for Christ's sake. Left to nature, I'd be fucked. Like, I wouldn't be able to go and what could I do? Could I go and catch some animals? I can't see. I can't see shit. If I take my glasses off, I couldn't see if there was a wildebeest in the bloody mangroves over there. How would I see it? How would I couldn't. I could see a blob moving. It's not a good idea to throw a sphere at a sphere, a big round thing, a spear at just like a random object that's out of focus. Could be anything. Could be your best mate. Could be Donald Trump. That might be a good idea, actually. But yeah, I'll be fucked in nature. I wouldn't have survived in nature. And anyone who had appendicitis, you wouldn't have survived. You'd be gone. You're the cock. Anyone who's had a disease, anyone who's got ill for something that you've needed, actual medicine for, beyond painkillers, anything, However, one of the other things, if we go, it's not natural. As I said yesterday, the aspirin is synthesized bark of a willow tree, and there are animals that self-medicate. There are animals that have sussed out that a particular leaf is good if they've got a stomach problem or they've got whatever it is, and they go and eat it. They feel compelled to go and eat that stuff. Cats eat grass to make themselves sick. That's kind of self-medication. They've got a hairball stuck in their throat. They're like, I'm going to eat grass because I know I can't process grass. Well, they don't know this. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I don't think the cat council get together and go, hey guys, if you've got a bit of a hairball stuck in your throat, what you want to do is eat some grass because you can't digest that. So it'll make you puke and you can get rid of your hairball. Oh, good. Thanks. No, it's just instinctive. So yeah, using medicine is natural. And being able to synthesize it means that we don't have to cut down loads of willow trees, I guess. Isn't that a good thing? We're leaving them to grow in nature because willows are lovely. Everyone loves a willow tree. See the willows weeping in the distance. Does the Scotch not pine? But yeah, when we talk about how the right-wingers get their hooks into otherwise progressively minded people, and they always do it the same sort of ways. You've got the New Ageism, this sort of the New Ageism, hippie mentality. It always seems to skirt a little bit around the fash. Do you know what I mean? Like the fash knows how to take advantage of that and knows how to monetize it. Oh my God, do they know how to monetize it? And then you've got transphobia, which is very much seen as acceptable in some sectors on the left, in the progressive movement. It's okay to be transphobic. Anti-Semitism is seen to be okay in some sectors on the left. That's like a little backdoor to bigotry. Oh, it's okay. It's not really bigotry because Israel's doing some horrible shit. Yeah, what's that got to do with Jewish people? Like, it's like blaming all Muslims for what Pakistan's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine every time you met a Muslim person, you just screamed, Kashmir! What about Kashmir, eh? Into their face. It would be a little bit rude, to say the least, a little bit bigoted, I think, a little bit Islamophobic, I would say. But yeah, there's lots of examples of them doing this, but you often see they go down this route of saying, this is just common sense. They love using that expression on the right, common sense, that a man can't be a woman, that you shouldn't put things in your body if you don't know what they are, that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And they manage to get under the skin of people who would otherwise be progressive. And that, to me, is one of the tragedies of modern life, is that we have more access to information now than ever before. and yet we're just as shit at processing it as we ever were. I've grown to hate the phrase common sense, yeah. Red hat, says Donkey. The thing with phytotherapy, using herbs for medicine, is that many times you have to intake so much it's not viable. Yeah, it take a boga for it to actually kick in and to have an hallucination. You have to consume so much of it, you'll puke, and then you probably have to shove some up your bum for it to actually work. I'm not even kidding. Gallifreyan, I bet sloths self-medicate. They look like they're permanently out of their skulls. They're brilliant. I love sloths. The complications with some COVID vaccine doses were really to do with the injected IV instead of IM, due to unfortunate physical differences in muscle structure. Yeah. And then, yes, eyeglasses are not grown on trees. Yeah, it's true. Well, the Masai Mara people, hardly anyone is short-sighted in Masai Mara, Masai Mara tribes. Hardly anyone is short. Ow. Oh, I just got a twinge in my back. Oh, give me a second. Oh, I'm getting old. Yeah, hardly anyone in the Masai Mara tribes are short-sighted. Hardly anyone. Oh, I haven't just put me back out for the day. I didn't even do anything. That's when you're getting old, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, common sense is shorthand for these are my assumptions. Yeah, exactly. It's just common sense, isn't it? Oh, Graham gets a hernia in real time. Oh, my back. Oh, that's going to make it difficult to shift soil today. I've got to say, guys, I'm on this island at the moment, and we're trying to shore it up against the incoming tide, and it's really satisfying to see the island is now completely dry. It rained all last night. It really hammered it down last night, and yet the island this morning, it wasn't full of puddles of water where the water got trapped. It's all evaporated already, and it's really satisfying to see now. One of the issues we're going to have is we had a really high tide last weekend, and that's probably going to happen again next month at the full moon, but we won't get as high a tide as that until then, so we won't be able to really test the defences until then. But I'm just hoping that we've done just enough to keep the water out for now, until we can get to a position where we can build up even better defences for the future. But I've got to say, it is really satisfying to see the difference that the island has gone through. And if you want to help us with this, we're still buying soil at the moment, and we will be for the next few days. But next week we'll be planting trees. So if we'll be seeing if anyone wants to actually sponsor a tree for the island, and we'll put your name on a little plaque on the tree. So it'll be your tree. So if you ever come here, you go, oh, it's my tree. Yeah, so if you fancy doing that, stay tuned. But if you want to chip in for soil, we still need a few thousand bags of soil. The link is in the description to the GoFundMe. One of the guys yesterday, like I can carry one sack pretty easily. It's you pick it up, you throw it over your shoulder, do, and then you go and drop it. There was where it needs to be on the island. There's a guy yesterday. He had 5 bags on his back, 5 of these really heavy bags, and he just one on top of the other on his shoulders and just walking across the island, and he just drops it. I was like, bloody hell, bloody hell, I'm out of shape. Oh yeah, definitely am. Need a new spine now. Anyone got a new spine they can lend me? As far as I'm concerned, common sense, I've read that one. Our species are now the first or only species to use tools, just the most advanced. But it's fine. Back pain is natural. Yeah. Hi all, just in time to recommend deep heat. Oh, that was really weird. Yeah, I did. Just when you just sit up in a weird, in a well, that was kind of a normal way. Anyway, we were talking about what would happen if Trump exited stage left before his term is up, and whether that would be, a good thing or a bad thing. And I think it would be a good thing. I really do. Even though it would mean J.D. Vance becomes the 48th president of the United States, I think he'll be a one-term Charlie. I think he'll be out on his ear in 2028, and people will blame him. You see, because all of Trump's ideas and all the things he wants to do are awful. Like, they're just terrible, all the things he wants to do. And at the moment, no one's pushing back on him too much because he's got this cult. But if it was someone else doing those same policies, or someone else taking, responsibility for those, or taking the blame for those policies, like Trump never gets the blame for anything he does. He's just like some evil supervillain. Whereas JD Vance, people would be like, "Oh my God, it's his fault that my baby girl, died because she needed an abortion. Like that's JD Vance's fault," and they'll take it out on him. Believe me. Oh, we just had a really big super chat come in. Sorry, I missed a super chat. Did I miss a really, really big super chat? I'm zooming back through the messages here to try and find this super chat because I can see my super chat Charlie has just skyrocketed. Oh my God, what are you paying? Katrina Tam, yeah. Oh, maybe my messages are a little bit behind the times, like Uncle Bulgaria. Let me see. Have fun, everyone. Oh, Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Hi, Graham. Look up Qigong exercises for bad backs online. I personally recommend carrying the moon. Okay, I'll try that. Andrew Dixon, again, Andrew, thank you so much, mate. I'm sorry it took me a minute to find your message there. I had to go to a different setting. I hope this takes the sting out of your back twinge, says Andrew. Oh, thank you. It does. Thank you so much, mate. £100 super chat. Oh my God, that's like a mega chat. It's an Uber chat. Oh, God. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ernie Burns says, common sense is like the idea of God. Everyone has an individual one that perfectly fits your ego. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Svax says, I feel lucky you travelled to the island right after the election. Every stream, I feel I'm there with you, away from everything for at least for an hour. Oh, thanks, Svax. Yeah, no, I like doing this. Do you know what I mean? I wish this was like my actual job. I wish I was in a position to work for a media collective that actually got, we got paid with things like holiday pay and sick pay and paternity leave and maternity leave and a pension fund. And yeah, because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy just sitting off and having a chat with you, and just having a break from it. But here it's like a break from the back breaking labour. I can't believe I put my back out on a bloody hammock. This is ridiculous. Did I ever tell you the story about the time I was filming in Cyprus once, and I was doing all these adventure sport things? I was doing like scuba diving and paragliding, and I did, those rocket boots. It's flyboarding. It's called, where you fly up in the air on rocket boots, and out of the water, like what's his name, Iron Man. Really, really cool. Like, and then on the last day, I literally fell off a chair and broke my foot. Like, it was the night of the last, and I'd done all these mad adventure things. I also crashed into a bloody cliff side when we were paragliding, and mountain biking through the Troodos Mountains. The last day I fell off a freaking chair. I stood up on a chair to thank the camera crew and the producers and everything for everything, because we were having a meal. And the chair wasn't level. The chair was a bit up at the back, and I fell forward onto the table. Broke my foot. Funny story. Yeah. Power to the people. Yeah, I've been enjoying the Ginger Anna streams. Nice to see a little part of the world that doesn't seem so insane. Oh, thanks, Power to the people. I've had a good month just paying it forward. Oh, thank you, Andrew. That's really, really, really nice of you. Jason J, will Morning Brew be returning? Yes, Jason, it will be. We'll be back on, I guess, December the 12th. I'll be back in Durham then, and we'll continue with Morning Brew. Phil won't be doing them anymore because he's concentrating on his own channel, but also he's also helping out other channels, not just this one, because he's an absolute bloody legend. But yeah, so Phil's not going to be doing the Morning Brew shows, but he's still going to be doing the agenda with me on Friday. So Friday the 13th of December, I'll be doing an episode of the agenda with Phil at 1 o'clock your time, which will then be my time. So yeah, that's still going to go ahead. We're still going to be doing Stateside on Monday nights. We're still going to be doing Geoscope on Tuesdays. And we've got a special episode of The Intersection that Rachel has filmed herself, doing an interview, and it's about neurodiversity. So that should be interesting. So hopefully I'll be able to upload that I was going to say today, but I think more likely it's going to be tomorrow because obviously it's a big file and I've got to edit it and stuff, and then I've kind of got to be on the mainland for that. But yeah, Jason J, do not worry, we'll be back. Normal service will resume. Are we managing to do a politics social this evening via Mikey or someone? Maybe, I don't know. It's all been thrown a little bit up in the air because I've got to go into Boca's Town today to do some paperwork about the island, and yeah, so I don't know how long it's going to take me to get that done. But once that is done, I'll get in touch with Mikey and see if we can set something up. Actually, yeah, come to think of it, if I'm going to be on the mainland to do the big town, to do the paperwork, I can send the visual assets to Mikey. So I'll do that. So if Mikey can do that, yeah, we'll try and do one. It'll be this afternoon for me, but it will be 9:30 for you. Crash Corrigan was famous American stuntman in the 1940s. He tripped over a curb and brained himself on a fire hydrant and died. Go figure, as they say. Well, yeah, Houdini, did all these death-defying, spectacles of him escaping from underwater, from chains and all this kind of stuff. He's this famous escapologist, and he died because someone punched him in the stomach. True story. Should we have a little bit of Zen? Would you like a little bit of Zen? I'll just give you a little bit. Okay, here's a little bit of Zen for you. Just a few moments of Zen. I'm just going to put the tripod over this side of the hammock. There you go. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? So, yeah. I'm just going to jump back into the chat. I might have to put the camera on the other side because it's just too it's kind of bright. I'm going to be squinting. Worse than normal. Rosie, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, Rosie. Just sending love. Graham, I just realised you're only 1 hour ahead of Mikey rather than usual. Yes, I am. Best stuntman stroke martial arts, in my opinion, Tony Jaa or Jackie Chan. Yeah, I love a bit of Jackie Chan. Zen strikes again. A lot of accidents are at home and quite a few are in the bedroom. Yeah, I was reading something about, I don't know why I read these articles, but it was about like sexual positions and the ones that cause the most injuries. It's quite funny. Not obviously, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but holy cabbage, it's nearly December already. When did that happen? Says Gallifrey Man. It is. We're nearly out of this stupid year. Yeah. Soon drop the door. Giga chat. Yeah, Giga chat. Thank you very much. That's to Andrew there. I remember when Bush Jr. was pushing for anti-gay laws, but it was his daughter came out as gay. Wasn't that Cheney? I thought that was Dick Cheney as well. Didn't Dick Cheney or one of them was massively anti-gay, and then his daughter was a lesbian, and he was like, oh. Graham, check out Tony Jaa in Ong Bak. I've seen Ong Bak. Come on, man of the world, my friends, man of the world. Great film. If you want Zen, tell a joke. The exact moment when you get the joke is Zen. Oh, that's interesting. Afternoon, Lee Corn says. My mate's mum always told the story of a local lad who survived the trenches of World War II and then choked to death on a grape. She was obsessed with chopping up grapes after that. Oh my God. Heimlich maneuver required. Zen. 1 hour ahead. Okay, I'm back to that. So yeah, I'm at 53 minutes now. So I'm just going to circle back. My saw back. I'm going to circle saw back. Just to talk about, yeah, if it does happen, if Trump, chokes on a pretzel, chokes on a grape, trips over a fire and bangs his head on a fire hydrant, or someone punched him in the stomach really hard, or someone takes another pop at him, and it works this time. Oh, welcome to level 1, Andrew Dixon. Well done. Yay. Aquitace says 2 hours around the world. I just wish it wasn't this one. There's still beauty. There's still beauty on this planet. There's still lovely people. Half of people are all right, Half of them are all right. Just the other half, are horrible. But they're only horrible because they think they can get away with it. They're only horrible because they think that no one's going to love them less by them being horrible. and that's bad. We should all feel like we shouldn't do bad things. We shouldn't upset people. We shouldn't discriminate against groups just because of prejudice. And I often talked about in the past about how I think that confession is really deeply immoral because you confess to the priest, not to the person that you did the bad thing to. No, confess to the person that you've wronged. And they can forgive you if they want to, if they so wish. You can beg them for forgiveness. Don't ask a priest. He's going to forgive you by way of God, and then suddenly you're absolved of your sins. I'm like, no, no. Say to the person who you were horrible to, or you did something wrong to, or you robbed something from, or whatever, say sorry. Will you forgive me? And it's up to them. Don't take that power away from people. If we're telling war stories, my grandma was 20 in the Liverpool Blitz and dived in a doorway in Bowl Street when a German fighter swooped down firing. It's a home and bargain store now. Oh wow, that's quite cool. I love the way you still call it home and bargain because that's what Scousers call it, and everyone else calls it home bargains because it's all I've ever known. Acro Dave, why do most people are basically good? So why do we keep putting the very worst of us in authority? It doesn't seem like a good survival trait. Acro Dave, I've read something about this, and sorry, I'm just really hurt my back. Jesus. I've read something about this, and apparently there's this idea that in a crisis situation, psychopaths are quite good people to have around because they'll take control and they'll tell people what to do. They won't second guess themselves because they're psychopaths, and they'll say, right, we need to do this, this, and this. But also, a similar study was talking about people with ADHD and the fact that people with ADHD can seem very, very scatty and very unfocused and very likely to go off on tangents and don't get stuff finished. Like loads of jobs all around the house have not been finished because ADHD has kicked in. You've gone off to find something else to do, right? And but the weird thing is that there's a particularly noisy little boat going past. That's the wasp-like noise in your ear. People with ADHD are apparently brilliant in crisis situations. They're just very calm and collected and just like, okay, we need to do the X, Y, Z. So I'd much rather have someone with ADHD rather than a psychopath take charge. But I think that being a psychopath works well for the right-wing parties all around the world. That they encourage and facilitate psychopaths, as does the private school system in the UK, and therefore the private school mafia, and the way that to get a job somewhere you need to know someone. No, you don't need to know someone. You need to know something about someone. That's what you need to know. And where's the best place to find out something embarrassing about someone who's rich in this country? Private school. It's the perfect horrific storm of horribleness. And it's why 7% of the population absolutely dominate the public life in the UK. It's because they know something about someone who's rich, and they can use that for the rest of their lives, even if they're not rich themselves, even if they were a scholarship kid, which is very unlikely. Like, you're talking 1% of the kids who go to private schools are scholarship kids. It's just, there's so few of them, it's painful. No, fix the state schools so we don't need private schools. There's no excuse for them whatsoever. Don't get distracted, Graham. Well, that's easy for you to say, but my little friend here has just appeared. Hello, Pickle. So I'm just saying hello to Pickle. And then I'll move my shitty old tripod around. Wellesby makes Thomas Cranmer look like a saint. Yeah, back-breaking labour, this YouTube stuff. Yeah, exactly. I'm moving bloody sacks of soil around all day and rocks and bits of bloody, trunks of palm trees. And then I sit down on a hammock to talk to you about the things that are going on in the world, and then I hurt my back. And from what I gather, a lot of people with ADHD are also good in emergencies. Yes, facts. You wrote that before I said it, didn't you? Gallifreyan Rain said, I expect Alonia's hatred of the trans community comes from both from his daughter and from his daughter not having any of his crap. Yeah, true. It may be evolutionary hangover from big monkey, most banana rules the roost, but come in useful against lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But now they're mainly seeing no threat, big monkey sees US. Yeah, indeed. Too often it's people who want power that actually get power. Yeah, often enough it's those who don't want it that are best suited for it. Yeah, I mean that's one of the best lines in Gladiator, the original Gladiator, where he says to Marcus Aurelius, Maximus says, I don't want it, don't want the job, and he says, well, so it's got to be you, Maximus, because you don't want the job, you don't want to do it, but you'll do a really good job of it. You don't seek power for power's sake, and I like to think I would be a bit like that. I don't know if I would be, but I'm no interest really in having the power to tell people what to do. That's not what it should be about. It should be having the power to make things better for as many people as possible. The greatest happiness for the greatest number, and just creating a life that people aren't desperate, they're not scared, they're not waking up each morning going, oh God, what now? And they don't live in fear of being their authentic self. Unless they're a psychopath or a serial killer or a paedophile or something, then they can live in fear. That's fine. But yeah, it's there you go. Have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Many times. Well, there's so many versions of Hitchhiker's Guide, because you've got the books, which are based on the radio series, which I've got, and then you've got I've got the scripts. I've got the scripts of the original series, and then there was the BBC adaptation, a 6-part TV series, and then there was the video game. Maybe that was before, actually. It's the same people who made Zork, wasn't it? They made the video game. And it was so frustrating because you get so far in the game, and because you didn't give a sandwich to the dog in like one of the first bits of the game when you're in the pub, you get eaten by a dog. Later on in the, he's like, oh my God, what is this thing? But yeah, and then obviously the movie that was all right. The movie, it was okay. It was okay with the guy from The Office, Martin thingy. Do you get any kind of workaway kind of thing going to get some help on the island? Add in some talking politics with you. It might be my ideal holiday, says Pablo. I can't afford it, mate. I can't afford it. And that sounds really weird because, like, but they work for free. Yeah, but you still got to feed them and get them over here. And yeah, it's if I could, if I had the money, to make people work for free, I would. Anyone who actively seeks power should automatically be disqualified. Alvin says the world has gone insane. It's so sad. I don't think the world has gone insane. I think the world is what it always is, but the people who are rich and powerful have just mastered the art of manipulation, and progressives, the left, are just always chasing the error. It's an expression, when you're firing a gun and the gun's moving around all over the place with the recoil, you're always chasing the error because you're always trying to correct the recoil. And that's how I feel with this this current situation where we have allowed the billionaires to control the means of information, the means of communication. They control it with an iron fist. And if anyone dares say, oh, no, you shouldn't say that. Oh, I'm being cancelled. Look at me. I'm so cancelled. I'm so cancelled now. I was having such a great day. I was having such a great time before I got cancelled. And I'm just like, oh, mate, shut up. Shut up. Seriously. I'm going to have to get going in a minute. I don't see the world in such absolutes. Some the right ambition can be good. Too much ambition is bad. Factors. My pet theory of people are scared of the climate emergency and act crazy because of it. Not the reason, but a contributing factor. I don't think you're wrong there, mate. Gallifreyan Man said, having seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series in my childhood, watching the movie just felt wrong. It was okay. It was okay. I mean, yeah. I felt like it didn't. I really liked the end of the TV series, and because it ended on "Wonderful World" by Louis Armstrong, and I think as a kid, like, I think I was aware of that song because my dad was a Louis Armstrong fan, but it never really hit me till I watched it on the TV show, and yeah, it was just. And I'll tell you a funny thing about the TV show. When it was on, it was repeated in like 1986 or something, or 1987, and at the time it was on Tuesday nights, I think, and or Monday nights or something like that, and it was 9 o'clock, and me and my brother had choir practice at that time, like at 8 o'clock or something, and we had to sort of rush home to watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at 9 o'clock, and we recorded them all on a VHS tape, and Except the second episode, my mum couldn't pick us up, and so we had to get the bus. We had to get the 61 bus back home, and we got there late. But we started recording it, and we had no idea what had just happened. Because Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, if you miss a single scene, you have no idea what comes next. So it was basically, we had gone from the Vogons, going to throw them out the airlock, to them, I don't know, orbiting Magnathea on the Heart of Gold. It just all goes so quick, and you're like, who are these people? Who's safe on Beetlebox? What is going on? So yeah, that was quite fun. So, I mean, it wasn't until many, many years later. I mean, obviously I read the books, so I knew, that what happened in the interim. But yeah, it wasn't until many years later that I bought the VHS series on, BBC tapes. So yeah, that actually saw the scene where they get picked up by the Heart of Gold, and why that happened. Telephone sanitizer lives matter. Why have people never seen? Why have I never seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy film? I'll be having a look for that later. It's quite fun. It's quite fun. Alan Rickman as the robot in the film is excellent. Yeah, as Marvin the paranoid android. Globalization means rich no longer depend on localized labor to produce goods which make them money. That's very true. Britain is full of comedians who complain about being cancelled on every date of a sellout tour. Yeah, I'm being cancelled. I've been cancelled. Anyway, right, I've got to nip to town. I've got some stuff to do, and then I'll be back here this afternoon, shoveling soil, and I'll try my very best to set things up so this evening we can have a little bit of a Friday night social. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll see what Mikey says. And until then, I'll just say thank you so much for watching. You are amazing. You're beautiful. You're very kind as well. Taking so much money, especially because I'm Andrew. Thank you so much, mate. That's really, really kind of you, and everyone else who's chipped in. Give us a like on the way out, and if I don't see you tonight, which I hope to do, I will see you tomorrow morning because I'm doing these shows every day. Yeah, even through the weekend. So, yeah, Pangalactic Gargle Masters will see us soon. I'll drink to that. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.